Hi everybody, Kat here. So today we're going to be talking about airbrush makeup. So I love to airbrush. I think all of you know that. My channel often talks about airbrushing. I talk about airbrush systems and I've been doing it for years. I absolutely love it. For me, it is the cleanest way to put on your makeup. But for some of you who want to airbrush and you don't, why is that? Is it because you think you're going to get frustrated? Is it because of the stories that you've heard? You know, exactly what is it about airbrush makeup that frustrates you that you've either tried it and have stopped and or you're not willing to learn? Well, in this video today, I'm hoping to cover some of that, not all of it, but some of it. And if you're interested, stay tuned. So I'm going to be using the Dinar one today to show you examples of what people have done when they actually get their airbrush system and why so many people get frustrated. So first off, people get frustrated because they don't know how to use their airbrush. They're new to airbrushing. They haven't learned the techniques of airbrushing. They haven't learned lever control, things in that nature, even distance, right? There's distance that you have to follow. They haven't learned that. And a lot of people feel like you should be a master of that the day that you get it or a couple of days after you get it. And if you're not, then this gets put away. But I promise you, even makeup artists, traditional makeup artists, aren't expert on day one. They learn technique and they do continuous learning. It's the same with airbrushing. You're not a master the first day that you get this. And even today, even though I've been doing this for years, I still continue to learn. That's the beauty of the industry and the beauty of airbrushing. You always will continue to learn different styles and techniques, but you have to practice and you just can't think that you're going to be an expert on day one. So in this example that I have here, what has happened is when they took this out, they just sprayed it really heavy. And you can see all of this right here. There's no control. And here they got a little better, but still no kind of guards or shadow shields or anything to help protect the areas that they didn't want. And then there's hot spots in this as well. That's very true. I mean, that happens. That happens if you're not familiar with lever control. And again, that takes practice. So now in this example, you can see that this person is working a little bit on layering. That's what's important about airbrushing. You have to layer it. So you go light and you build upon the layers. So you can see right here is very light and then starting to build up on the layers. And then here working on precision with the airbrush and distancing. Okay. So in my opinion, one of the reasons that people get frustrated again is because they think that they should be really good at this the moment they get this, and or the reason that they don't get this is because they know they're not going to be an expert at it on day one, and it does take time to learn. Some people are okay with that learning curve, and some people want immediate gratification. So it really just depends on the person, but you shouldn't get frustrated with airbrushing. There are tools that are being provided to you so that you can learn, so that you can work with precision, so that you can learn basically how to work with your stencils or lever control by layering. All of these things are given to you when you buy, for an example, with Dinar, when you buy one of their kits, this is something that you get, and these are tools for you to actually learn. So another reason that people get so frustrated with airbrushing is simply because they don't keep their airbrush clean. And so that starts a whole host of other issues. So another huge frustration for people is their airbrush isn't spraying. And that's simply because they're not properly taking care of their airbrush. If you take care of your airbrush will take care of you. So again, if you don't clean your airbrush, what's going to happen is the makeup medium is going to dry inside of your airbrush, and it's going to cause a whole host of problems, especially when you go to use it the next time, because it's simply not going to spray. Making sure that your airbrush is clean is essential. That's what I'm going to tell you. And if you're not taking 5 minutes after using your airbrush to apply your makeup and or anyone else's makeup, you're doing yourself a disservice, because what's going to happen is the makeup medium is actually going to dry and your airbrush is not going to spray the next time that you use it. So wow, that's pretty frustrating. My airbrush is not spraying, or it's spitting. What's wrong with it? I just don't understand airbrushing. Common things that I hear all the time. So take a few minutes, 5 at least, and take and clean your airbrush. There is airbrush cleaner that will come with your airbrush. There is also this nozzle tip brush that Dinar provides to actually polish the needle. And they redid their labeling on their airbrush cleaner to actually talk about that, removing the air cap and then actually polishing the needle. Dry tip, again, is very common in airbrushing, especially with water-based makeup. So you want to make sure that if you're having dry tip or if your airbrush is not spraying, to remove this and to just pinch off any of the makeup medium, and this being the air cap, sorry about that, and then putting that right back on, okay? So another frustrating thing for makeup artists is they only have one airbrush, and if they're doing a job and they're having issues with this, and then they break out what they traditionally know, and that's traditional makeup. If you will have a couple of spare airbrushes with you, that's what I would suggest. You never know what will go wrong, and so having an additional airbrush just because of speed and time is important. This one right here is in its travel case. I've got the cleaning cap on, and so it's travel ready. And I keep a couple of these as a spare anytime that I go onto a job or if I'm actually teaching or training. So cleaning my airbrush is frustrating. I don't have time to do it. That's what I hear. Yes, you do. It only takes a few minutes. And if you take the time to properly clean your airbrush after every use, then it's going to work. Here's the thing. A lot of people think you have to disassemble this every single time. You do not. That is not necessary. Other things that people use as well. There are these types of tools here that people use. I don't use these anymore. I originally had bought them and thought I would need them, but I don't actually use these anymore, just simply because this cleaning cap has been revolutionary in my opinion. Q-tips. Q-tips are a favorite. So Q-tips, I often use those to just make sure to clean out my well. So I do that. This one was from this morning. As you can see, there's residue of black in here. And what we're going to do next is we're actually going to see, are you really cleaning your airbrush as well as you think you are? Because again, that's super frustrating if you're not. So for this demonstration, I'm going to be using Fantasy Black. Fantasy Black is highly pigmented. And a lot of people, when they're using high pigmented colors, think that they're cleaning out their airbrushes, and they just are not. They are maybe taking it to a cleaning level of 6 when they should be taking it to a cleaning level of 10. So let's try my demo, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So I've already rocked those BBs, as the saying goes, and I'm just going to go ahead and make sure to drop 2 drops inside of my well. And I'm going to go ahead and get a tissue here, and I'm just going to go ahead and start to spray. Now, I am basically going to spray. I'm going to keep it in here for just a second while I talk to you. This is kind of what happens. We get a stencil or we get something, and we put our airbrush system down. We go back, we spray again some more, and we spray some more. And as you can hear, the makeup is finally coming out. Hear that? Okay, perfect. Let's see what happens when we shut it off, and then we go to clean it. Now, you can see I didn't put very much in the well, so there's not a whole lot of makeup medium here. But generally what I do is I start off with water, and I will put in a couple of drops of water. I will turn this back on, and I will spray. As you can see, there's still gray in here, and I'm spraying that out. See how much more came out? I would gather to say most people would stop right there and say, yeah, my airbrush is totally clean. It's not a problem. I sprayed out all the makeup and it's clean. And they'll put it down, they'll walk away. But is it really clean? So let's check it out. Because again, remember what I told you, black is highly pigmented, and because it's highly pigmented, it's a lot more involved in cleaning than you think. So now what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to put in a couple more drops of water. I'm going to turn it on, and I'm going to back bubble a little bit here. And then I'm going to see if any additional makeup comes out. And as you can see, right here, there is still makeup inside. Now, a lot of people say, okay, oh yeah, now I've got it clean. It's totally clean. I don't have to worry about it. It's good. I only put 2 drops of makeup in. I've already, flushed it out twice. It's good. I'm ready to go. I'm going to put it up and I'm going to use it tomorrow. And I'm going to tell you, nope, that's not what you should be doing. So now I'm going to take my airbrush cleaner and I'm going to put a couple drops into the airbrush. I'm actually going to put the cleaning cap on, and I'm going to put the cap on here. I'm going to hold this back instead of using the additional piece, and I am going to squeeze. Now, if I took that off, you could probably see how that is back bubbling in here, and it's working its way through the airbrush. All right, so now we have got that, and let's see if any additional makeup comes out from that. Seems like it's pretty clean so far. I'm going to rinse it with a little bit of water. And you see there? Nothing's coming out. I will even go as far as doing just a few more drops of the airbrush cleaner and spraying all the way through, just to make sure that I'm going to have a clean tissue when I'm done with this. Now, on top of that, what I do is I actually take off the nozzle tip. Some people will actually pull this needle back and they'll clean it right there on the airbrush. I like to go ahead and take it off and do it this way. But that's just me. Everybody has a little bit of a different style. So I like to do it like this. You can see here, there's some makeup medium on there. You can put a little bit of your airbrush cleaner on there as well, just to make sure. And so now that I feel like that's nice and clean, I will put that back. And then as far as the well goes, you can also do the same thing. You can put a few drops of cleaner right onto your Q-tip, and you can go in and softly clean the inside of that well. And you probably think it doesn't have anything in there, but I bet you when I pull this Q-tip out, you're going to see that it does. So you see there, just a little bit of residual makeup right there. Another issue that people have is sometimes they damage their needle and it becomes bent. They become impatient, they remove it, they let it fall on the floor. The needle can become bent, and if your needle becomes bent, that can cause a host of issues as well, including cracking potentially your nozzle. So you want to be careful with your needle. Your needle is very important that it stay, straight and clean. So in my past videos, I talk a lot about viscosity of makeup. That's basically the thickness of makeup, if you will. And I can tell you this, not all makeup will work through the same airbrush. If the thickness of the makeup is different, then you can expect different results based on the airbrush that you're using. And I'm not going to go into all of that detail right now, but a tip from my friend, the Airbrush Makeup Guru, is this. If you're using a Dinar system and you're using this for their water-based makeup, then continue to use this airbrush and only this airbrush for that. If you decide later that you want to experiment with maybe a silicone makeup or a hybrid makeup, use a different airbrush for that. And you can write on here or put a label on here that that's what it's for. But keep the airbrushes separated. So I wanted to give a special thanks to the Airbrush Makeup Guru, who I am proud to call my friend. You know, he has a wonderful blog that you will just learn so much from. He doesn't just test one or two makeups, he tests them all, and he writes a very unbiased opinion about all of these different lines. So if you want to be well informed, if you want to make a good decision about what airbrush system you're going to use, or what's available for you, or what makeup medium you like, all those different things, you have to check out his blog, because I think that you will find a wealth of information there that will help you. So that's really what it's all about, right? It's about learning, and it's about expanding your knowledge as an artist, whether you're an airbrush makeup artist or a traditional makeup artist. But for the life of me, I will say this, I still will never understand why traditional makeup artists won't go to airbrush makeup. Now, I have friends who are traditional artists and they love it, and they again tell me, no, I just don't want to go there. And I really think it wraps around the frustrations that people have. I'm just guessing, because if you're not doing a few of these things that I pointed out in this video, you are going to get frustrated. So because we get frustrated, we stop. We go, no, not doing it anymore. But I'm telling you, some of these very simple things that I talked about, really, it's really just about making sure that the airbrush is clean. Then a lot of the rest comes to just learning the technique. And that's how I feel. I'm just being really honest about that. The lever control, the distancing, the color combinations, all of that, cut creases. It all comes with learning, practicing, building your style. We all have different styles. I have my own unique style, but it's all about that. And it shouldn't be about the airbrush not working. The airbrush, if you keep it properly maintained and clean, it's not going to fail you. Now, if for some reason the compressor quits working or things in that nature, that's another story, and maybe that's another video. But the airbrush itself, keep it in good condition, keep it clean, and you will find that you will have a happy experience with airbrushing. So I hope you found this video informative. I hope that it helped you today. If it did, give us a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. Hit the notification bell as well for more videos like this or any of my videos. But as always, guys, thanks for watching.